The way I determine wealth for anybody is a simple question. It's, hey, if you were to stop working today, how long would you last, right? So you can do the math on what are your expenses, what comes in without you actively working, and the real estate was that piece that came in without me actively working. And so long story short, I was able to achieve a lot of my goals, and now I have the ability to choose like, hey, this is how I want to spend my day, which is awesome.
Hey there, I am Dr. Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast, where we explore the why behind success. Every week, I meet with real estate investors, veterinary entrepreneurs, mindset coaches, authors, and fitness professionals to uncover their why and how it drives them on the winding road to success. What is your why?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast. Today, I am here with Niyi Adewole. He's the founder and leader of the Ekabo Home Realty Team, a prominent branch of eXp Realty known for the investor-friendly approach, and he's based in Atlanta, Georgia. So we just had a little conversation about Atlanta, and definitely look forward to getting together in person the next time I'm there. Niyi, thanks for coming on the show today. I appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. But first, just thank you for taking the time out. I truly appreciate it.
Come on now, Jason. It's exciting to be on the show, and thank you for even allowing me to grace your episode here. And so I'm excited for our conversation as well.
Me too. Let's start with hearing about you, your background, kind of what got you to where you are today, and then we'll just have a conversation from there.
Sure. And so, as Jason mentioned, my name is Niyi Adewole, leader of the Ekabo Home Team. I've been investing in real estate for a decade, but licensed for 4, right? Prior to that, I think I read some of the books that a lot of people on this podcast probably read, like the Rich Dad, Poor Dads of the world, the As a Man Thinketh, The Richest Man in Babylon, and things of that nature. And it led me down a path of trying to think, hey, how can I have my dollars work for me? And so in 2015, I started in medical device sales, and I had some success from 2015 all the way through 2022. And during that time period, what I was doing on the side was taking every commission check I got and taking at least 90% of it and investing into real estate and buying, whether it was house hack, where I'd buy a triplex, live in one unit, rent the others out, or just buying small multifamily and continuing to build up that portfolio, because I wanted to have a way to cover myself if something happened to that W-2. And fast forward to 2022, I looked up and I said, I have this whole portfolio that can actually cover my living expenses. What do I actually want to do? Do I want to continue kind of climbing the ranks and I see where that's leading to?
Yeah.
Or do I enjoy real estate more, and do I want to move into full-time doing that? And so that's a quick and dirty background for Niyi Adewole.
Well, I mean, we're going to dig in deeper, but I love to hear that, sort of just, I used my commission checks. I started to acquire real estate. I used house hacking, all of that stuff. That's like, it's really, really simple for people to do. Like, it's really simple for people to do. I think in a lot of instances, we maybe, we probably overcomplicate it in our own minds, but I also think, and maybe this podcast is guilty of it too, but it's like, make it out like it's this big thing. I mean, ultimately, like, anybody can do this. And I think that's like a really important message for people to understand, that I hope people have gotten from past episodes too. But it's, I'm you might be a genius or special. I'm not. And I have done, I'm now in commercial real estate, but I did just what you did at the beginning. It was like, I wanted to own my own house, and I couldn't afford it. So I house hacked at the time. I'm old, so it just got roommates. It didn't have a fancy name then, but I got roommates so I could afford to own the house, and I fixed it myself. I mean, it's just kind of like, I love hearing that sometimes, that you just took what you were doing and used it to create, a better future for you, that then created optionality I think you said in 2022, like just suddenly, okay, now I have a decision here. Like, what direction do I want to go? So, um, I just wanted to kind of highlight that because I do think that's important for people to hear. And then I want to hear about that transition. I want to hear about, kind of where were you at when you got to the point, like portfolio wise, and just tell us a little bit about, kind of making that leap.
Absolutely. And I'm going to dive into that, but I'd be remiss not to address something you said before. Definitely not a genius. And I think you're spot on with people trying to overcomplicate it. And it's a lot of the newer people that are getting in. They start to ask questions like, hey, do I need to have an LLC? How much money do I need to have saved up? Should I have, all these reserves, but I'm not getting this cash on cash return? And it's like, guys, you just need to get started, right?
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, I think what you did and what I did is the best way. It's like getting started with training wheels, and all it requires is a little bit of discomfort, right? Which a lot of people are afraid to kind of go into. And so you may have deduced this from my name, right? When you see this many vowels in a name, but I am Nigerian and I go back every couple years. I'm first generation born in the US. And when I say we live in the land of milk and honey, we live in the land of milk and honey. In other countries, you don't have this type of opportunity to just simply change up a little bit of your living for a couple years and build extreme wealth.
Yeah.
That's available here, but people seem to be stepping over that. And so I definitely would just encourage everybody to keep listening to Jason. Don't overcomplicate it. Keep it super simple. You don't even have to go commercial with any of that stuff. You could just stick to
Yeah.
just bread and butter, and you're going to be fine. But coming back to the point that you just made, so it was scary, man. Like it was making the jump from the W-2 into full-time entrepreneurship. I can tell you, like I thought about it for many months leading up to it, and starting to work out the numbers, and it all made sense. But when you actually get to where you're telling your manager, hey, I'm putting my 2 weeks in, and then that first 30 to 60 to 90 days after, where it's like I have all this time, how do I even structure my day?
Mhm.
It was definitely scary. And so the lead up to it, I thankfully was able to have a lot of success in my career in the W-2. It actually took a lot of people by shock when I gave that 2 week notice. Like it was literally like, what, me? But I started off as a sales development professional at a Fortune 500 healthcare company, and moved from there to Louisville, Kentucky as a portfolio rep. And when I was in that portfolio rep role, that's when I started investing. I bought a triplex, lived in one unit, ran the other two out, and lived for free, and started to see what it looked like to have financial freedom. I then got promoted and moved to Boston, where I sold the medical devices. And we closed one of the largest deals in company history, which allowed me to, one, expand that portfolio significantly, and two, get to call my next shot. And the next shot was I wanted to move closer to my family in the Southeast. And so I moved into a director role, and that's where I was the final 2 years. And in the director role is where I lost a little bit of love for the work, right? Up until that point, I'd been like the sales guy, kind of on the front line, going to go close those deals, and I like that energy. That's why
Yeah.
I'm a realtor. Like it's kind of fun to put deals together and go close it. As a director, I was a director for the Southeast, and you take all the bullets and you don't get any of the fun. It was it was like
Yeah.
CEOs of hospitals calling, in the middle of the night on a Saturday, like, hey, we need this like ASAP. And I get it. Like, we need to get it, but you don't get a lot of the joys. Plus, there wasn't the commission element where, hey, if you close a big deal, you're going to have this other thing that I had gotten used to. And so that's when I started to really shift gears and say, okay, I'm making X. I can see that at the next level and the highest level, I'm going to make a heck of a lot. And those golden handcuffs are going to get tighter. Is it possible? Can you bet on yourself before, and this is before I got married and before we were expecting, which we're expecting now.
Congratulations.
Can you, thank you, man. Can you make that jump into something more entrepreneurial? The first couple of years are going to be rough. You know that for any business, but can you make that jump, weather the storm for the first couple of years and come to the other side to where you can control your day and have something that they're not telling you, hey, I need you to fly to this spot and that spot and this spot and that spot, and you can't take vacations whenever. And we bet on ourselves. And that first year was rough, but now it's been amazing to see what we've been able to accomplish. We now have a team of 13 agents that are investor friendly. That's what we focus on because that's kind of my whole jazz. And fun fact, one of our agents who was a client first, then became an agent on our team, just left his W 2 literally last week and is going full time underneath our team because he's had success as well with the investing side and everything. So it's pretty cool to come full circle. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, no, there's going to be more questions, but yes, that was that was a good piece of it. Yes, you said something there about the transition, and suddenly you have time on your hands and you don't know what to do with it, and it's an interesting thing that I think doesn't get talked about a lot. But we so people, leaving a W-2 job, it's like a big step, but sometimes people, it's a badge of honor for some people. I would argue that sometimes it's not necessarily something you want to shoot for right away. But really assessing the situation is different for everybody. But what I really wanted to point out there that you touched on and resonated with me is we all want time freedom. We want to be in charge of our own time and control and do what we want in our day. But the reality is most of us don't actually know how to do that. like we don't know, because if you think about, you know, most people have been going to school since they were 5, maybe a daycare or a preschool before that, but been going to school since they're 5, grade school, high school, maybe college, maybe not. Then you go to a job, you're there at this, I work these hours, like, and then suddenly you're an entrepreneur and nobody tells you what to do. And it's actually, I found it took me a long time. I'm probably still figuring it out, but I would say it took me a couple of years to like be okay with that, even, like, because I'd be like, oh, I have all this time, things I want to accomplish, and I would work 5 times as hard as I was working with a W-2 job, burn myself out. Entrepreneurship is filled with its ups and downs. Burn myself out and be like, man, and then like do nothing for several days recovering and feel terrible about myself. Like it's like this balance that's very, very hard to find when nobody's telling you what your balance actually needs to be. So I completely understand what sort of that reference. But so what was your portfolio like when you said, okay, we're good? I don't need you to tell me like this is how much money I made, but like about how much real estate did you own when you said, yeah, this is the right time?
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, right? I didn't believe I was going to be able to make the jump until 2025. So it wasn't just the real estate. It was a couple other things that played into it. I didn't think I was going to be thinking about it until right now, right? Like, okay, I can make the jump. And so I had 30 units in Louisville, Kentucky at the time, that had built up over 7 years. And my realtor down there, who is now my partner, she's an investor friendly realtor, owns more real estate than me. She, way back when I got started in 2015, 2016, she had just left a director role or a manager role at Cracker Barrel, where she'd been for a decade, and became a realtor. And I saw the success that she had growing a whole team. Now she's got her own brokerage. And we partnered together with me buying real estate and seeing kind of how she works over that 7 years so much that she came to me with an opportunity to be a general partner in a storage build, brand new ground up storage build. We acquired some land, and also to raise money for a townhome build. So fast forward to the day, we kicked off that storage project and we finished it midway through last year, and now we're getting it rented out. So the storage we were able to do on our own, and we're raising funds for the townhomes, meeting with a couple investors actually next week to try to finalize that piece. And so that was a major piece, knowing, hey, I need to be able to look investors in the eye and let them know I'm putting my all into this. The 30 units was a major piece. But then also when I moved to Atlanta, instead of doing long-term rentals, what I found here that actually worked out was short-term rental. I'd heard about it for a long time, was nervous about it, not gonna lie. But in 2021, I went back to the roots. I got a house hack, a single family with the in-law suite. The numbers worked for the house hack to where I could rent it out as a long-term rental and still be comfortable with the out-of-pocket. But I was like, let me try the short-term rental thing. I'm hoping to pull in 1,500 a month. Let's see what we do. I ended up pulling in an average of 2,500 to 3,200 per month on a one bedroom, and the rest was history. I was off to the races to build that. And so by 2022, I want to say we had about 10 properties, four of them owned that were short-term rentals in Atlanta, six under management that just happened through connections with different people. And that was what gave kind of the base and the comfort. Plus, the real estate business was taken off a bit.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where I literally had like 2 deals a month closing as a realtor because I got my license in 21, left in 22. And I was starting to get busy from the W-2. And so it was a decision. Hey, I can either lean into the W-2, lean into the real estate, but if I do both, I'm going to drop a ball somewhere. Like I'm going to drop a ball. And so I bet on ourselves to make that jump. But it was a myriad of things. And coming back to your previous point, I would agree. You shouldn't just make a jump and not have some constraints, right? I believe you shouldn't make a jump into something full-time entrepreneurial until you've at least proven it a little bit, or that you get so busy with it that now it's starting to affect your work one way or the other. Then you should make a decision. If it's just something on the side and it's not really growing like that, you just keep testing it and using your business as a partner, or your W-2 as a partner, to help fund your side projects until one of them takes off.
Yeah. Yeah. And, in that quest to, sort of be free of a W-2 job, I think a lot of the benefits get, kind of overlooked or pushed aside, uh, and literal benefits is one of them. But I think the other thing is the lendability. So people, interestingly, banks are much more likely to look at your cash flow, which a W-2 job would be included in that, than they might necessarily be on your net worth overall. And so and those are the traditional lenders. But yeah, a lot of times they look at someone with a W-2 job as a safer bet than an entrepreneur who owns, 30 units and 10 short-term rentals. And so, I mean, there's pluses and minuses to both sides. So you became a realtor in 2022. Am I getting that right?
So I got licensed in November of 21, closed the first deal in December, and then left the W-2 in August of 22. So less than a year from getting licensed, it just started ramping up.
So it probably looked amazing for about 6 months.
Yeah.
And then, and then and then probably didn't. I mean, maybe you didn't experience that, but I'm into the timing wise, because I know what happened to us in our commercial real estate journey at that point. And funny enough, I left my W-2 in May of 2022. Worst time I could have picked. Absolute worst time I could have picked. But I did, and so so I'm interested just what your experience was like. I think a lot of people through late 2020, 2021, early 2022 were like, real estate is the most amazing thing in the whole world. I still think that's probably true, but things were super hot then. So you left at a time when it was probably fairly easy to get into that industry, but not, you weren't in it for very long before it got probably substantially harder. Is Tell me about that. Tell me about your experience at going through that, the timing that you had.
Yeah, so I think you're spot on the timing. It went from, hey, this is the most amazing investment we all should get in, to interest rates doubling almost like overnight, and
Yeah.
everybody saying, hey, maybe this is not the time. And so I would say two things in my background that helped significantly, and I think you would attest to this as well, is being an investor teaches you much more than most realtors know. Like investing for, since 2016, all the way up until that time, was the real estate knowledge I needed. I just needed to go pass the test, right? But actually, how you put deals together, how you negotiate for credits, how you like structure things, that was all knowledge that was gained before. So I like to say that I got my license in 2021, but I've been practicing for close to a decade now
Yeah.
when you look at it. And then also, I was in high level sales for a while. And so I was able to go to medical device sales at some of the top hospitals in the country, right? And make it happen, which is a long sales cycle, 18 months of talking to this person, that person, things of that nature. And so when you combine those two passions, the skill set was there, just maybe not for whatever real estate market. But the cool thing about this is I didn't know what to expect, right? I was out there like, okay, let's make this happen. But the thing that I would say that we did that has helped us, and I'll caveat this with saying each year we've grown in the total transacted volume, right? Last year we finished number 15 in the state of Georgia under EXP as a team. And this year we're shooting for a top 10 spot. Right now we're ranked number 5. So we're chasing them down. They're right behind us, but we're fighting for that top 10
Knocking them
spot.
down one at a time.
And so what I would say is we niche down immediately. And the reason we did that is I listened to a lot of podcasts, listened to a lot of books, and I understand just sales in general. And so a lot of realtors are trying to help everybody. And we can help everybody, but when you're focused on everybody, you're serving no one particular crowd and you don't have that niche. And so our niche, right? You mentioned at the top, we're investor friendly. Most of my team is investors as well, or they were former clients. Half the team were clients that we helped purchase houses between 22 and 24 that now join the team and are working with us. And so being in that niche helped us throughout that rocky times, because it's always a good time to buy real estate if you're an investor. It just switched from, hey, we got to do highest and best offers with the 3% loans to, hey, it's 6%, the house is sitting. Now we can go in there, ask for the maximum credits. And we had deals we were putting together even in 23 where we would get the seller to give us 6% in credits, right? Like a $500,000 house, we're getting 30K in credits. And we used that to knock the interest rate down from a 6.5 to a 3.7 to where, okay, hey, this fourplex makes sense now. And so that whole background kind of helped. And then building out the team in a niche where we're focused on investors and servicing the 20% of folks that buy multiple houses has been incredible. So we're accelerating.
Yeah. I, you kind of said right now what I wanted to bring from your initial story is that I find a lot of the people I've talked to on the podcast and a lot of just people in real estate, a lot of them come from a sales background. I've had a number of guests, interestingly, from the medical device sale world, which is most of those positions are almost exclusively commission based, and real estate's going to be similar. Real estate sales, I think, if you are experienced in that world and knowing that you don't get paid if you don't produce, and I mean, there's a lot of different ways that can look in other industries too, like commission based things, but ultimately, like, understanding that that's the case, and just either being comfortable with it, or if you're not comfortable with it because it's new, embracing it and saying, look, if I want to eat, I gotta make this work. And I do think the background in investing in real estate already certainly is going to help you if you have mainly investors as clients. I mean, it's just the creativity behind, because most of the time scarcity mindset comes from non-investors, right? Like the people. And so you get into that investment world and you realize, like, there's just, people are just like, I am just going to make this happen. Like that's ultimately, because if your job is to be an entrepreneur or an investor, you can't just only work when the market is good. You have to work all the time. And you have to work harder when it's not good. And so it's kind of like uh, uh, your background, and sounds mostly intentional. Your background set you up for this to be successful. When you talk about having or being an investor friendly agents, and work, what does your typical client look like? What types of properties are you dealing in? What types of transactions? I mean, tell us a little about that.
Yeah. And so we deal across the spectrum, and it's all things that I over time got into. And so, for example, like for you, I know you started off with the house hacking with roommates, so you know exactly what that feels like, and you can speak to it from knowledge. You're doing commercial, you're doing multifamily, things of that nature, so you can speak with knowledge from that. And so that's kind of the base that we work through. And so we've helped everybody from house hackers. Like right now, we have somebody, and this is why it's great to have a team. one of my team members is showing a client that's going to go check out a fourplex to do their first house hack. And they were like, hey, I'm nervous about this. How do we do it? Do we have to put down 20%? Things of that nature. And we were able to coach them through it. So they're going to go check out that. We help out fixing flippers. We help out people that are doing the BRRRR method. We even help out some like primary residents where they're like, hey, I want to buy this, but then turn it to a vacation home next year once I move out. And so it's all across the spectrum of investing in general. So we have it niched down to like, hey, we're only going to do short-term rentals. And there's certain people that do that. We've just niched down to the investor pool in general. And the main reason behind that is 80% of buyers out there are going to be just primary residence buyers. Those are the folks that are going to go, hey, I like the colors on the wall. I want this, and kind of go
Yep.
from there. And when you look at that, that's great. And that's the bigger pool of the market, but they're probably going to buy a house once every 5 to 7 years. And you've got to try to stay top of mind for that whole time. With our investor pool, in this short amount of time, we're already closing second and third deals with individuals. Some of our flippers, we've closed like 8 or 9 deals already, right? And you start to get that higher, like you're spending less to acquire quote unquote leads. And now you're getting folks that are just recurring. And we've had some folks where we helped somebody in 2022. Literally, I'm thinking of a chain right now. I can think of his name. We helped this guy in 2022 buy 2 properties. He wanted to get started. He was in the medical field. 2 properties. He referred us to one of his buddies who bought 1 property. That buddy referred us to another buddy who bought 1 property. And he referred us to another buddy that we're helping right now who's under contract with 2 properties, but only going to close on one. We're trying to figure out which one. And so, and I lost the question. Can you help me with that? Sorry.
No. You're answering the question. I mean, the question is really, what do your clients look like as an investor friendly realtor? I mean, and you're answering the question. I think that's kind of what I wanted to know is do you? It's pretty niched already to work, strictly with investors, and I didn't know if there was a specific space within, it's like, oh, we do short-term rentals, or oh, we do, only fourplexes or whatever. But sounds like there's kind of a lot of opportunity to come to you and your team and say, hey, I want to be an investor, and can you help me figure out what's the best thing for me? Is that true statement?
Exactly. We have a lot of people, especially the newer folks, that will come to us with that type of criteria, and we
Mhm.
walk them through all these different types in which they feel comfortable with, and based on their budget, help them there. But on the flip side, we also have people that are experienced investors where they've done other markets, but now they want to move into the Georgia market, and we're able to help them as well. One in particular that was a unique one is, well, 2 in particular that were unique. We helped this investor out of Canada a little over 2 years ago purchase a 10,000 square foot mansion, right? This investor out of Canada is looking to do luxury short term rentals kind of all over the nation. They already had one in Florida. They wanted to get one in Georgia because it's, the Hollywood of the East. And so we helped them acquire it. That's one of the properties that we now manage for them as a short term rental with our company. And they've been thrilled with the results. We've had some incredible gains from that property. It's one of the top producers out here because it's just incredible. And then we've helped even other clients, some in our military that were looking to do a vacation home here, right? And based in Japan right now because they're on military base. They literally have not seen the property or met us in person to this day. But we were able to help them get set up. We have the designers, we have other investor friendly folks, CPAs, things of that nature that can help somebody who is new or seasoned get started in this market and maximize on their investments, which is kind of what our focus has been.
Yeah, I love it. I think, I mean, that's that is such a valuable service to have for especially beginning investors, right? I mean, beginning, whether that means you've never invested before, but also like new to Georgia, new to Atlanta, like having someone there who's familiar with the investor landscape in that city, I think is just really just tremendously valuable. And uh, I mean, in as I mentioned, I can't remember if we were recording. Not, I mean, we have properties in Atlanta, commercial multifamily properties, but even the idea of working with you to do some flips or some, just some other projects in the area, I think is a really appealing. So I love it. I think it's a great business model. Um, Nee, I want to switch gears. I want to have time to ask you the questions I ask every guest, and I think the first one is based on the name of the show, Know Your Why. And so I always do ask every single guest, what is your why? What's you've already had a lot of success, but you're driven. You're I think creative and just really making the best of that investor landscape. What's your why though? What's driving you?
Man, and I always love asking people this question, and I rarely get to answer it. And so, first and foremost, I want to say thank you, Jason, for asking me that question. And
Sure.
so, when you look at the why, you really gotta look back to a bit of the background. And so, coming up, right, I'm the youngest of three boys raised by a single mother who worked many, many hours as a nurse to make sure she could provide for us. And during that '08 crash, one of the things that we had was she wanted us to be in the best school district. So we bought this house. That was back when they were giving no doc loans. I don't know if you were buying real estate then, but they were giving like no doc loans and things of that
Yeah.
nature from what I've
Yeah.
researched.
My
And
my very first house I ever bought, I had no business being able to buy a house, but I'm thankful that I was able to. So yeah, it's I know that time well.
come on now, it was the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
And we bought a house that we weren't supposed to be qualified for, and unfortunately, we got caught. And long story short, had declared bankruptcy, moved all over, and couldn't even sign for apartments for like 7 years and things of that nature. And so that remained ingrained for me for a while, going through high school and starting to get into the college years and then getting ready to go and move into corporate. And so my whole overall goal, even from back then, was, hey, I want to have financial security and financial freedom. And one of the things that helped even get through tough times in the W 2, because no matter what you're doing, whether it's entrepreneurial, whether it's W 2, whether it's whatever, there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be times where you're like, man, this is the best thing in the world. And other times where you're like, what the heck? I just got punched in the face, right? You gotta go from there.
Yeah.
And so
True story.
the thing that always was like that guiding light for me was one, faith, but two, that hey, I'm moving towards something bigger. This pain right now is going to help me get the next investment, which is going to buy me a little bit more time freedom and more quote unquote wealth. And the way I determine wealth for anybody is a simple question. It's, hey, if you were to stop working today, how long would you last? Right? So you can do the math on what are your expenses, what comes in without you actively working. And the real estate was that piece that came in without me actively working. And so long story short, I was able to achieve a lot of my goals. And now I have the ability to choose, like, hey, this is how I want to spend my day, which is awesome. And I still spend it doing like basically work, because I think we all need structure. Coming back to your previous
Yeah.
conversation, we need like a
Yeah.
schedule
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
happy. But I want other people to have that hope as well. I don't want you to go into a W 2, because we talk to a lot of clients that have been working there for 15, 20 years and they don't see like a way out. Like, man, am I going to retire and not have enough and things of that nature? And so it's good to be able to start investing in something that also pays you back, whether it's real estate, stock, or other. I just chose real estate because I feel like if you have that hope and you're driving towards something, it helps you get through the next day.
I agree. I agree. You can find a lot of purpose in the work, for sure. So yeah, I agree. Um, when people hear this and they want to connect with you, what is the best way for them to reach out?
Oh man, so I'm on. Well, the best way, Ekabo Home. If you go to ekabohome.com, EKABO home.com, or you can follow us on Instagram. Those are the best ways. I don't necessarily post personally. Now I got team and members that help record stuff, and then they get it posted, which is awesome. I should do more, but yeah, hit us up there. I'm always happy to connect. And even if you're not based in Georgia, if you're looking to do like a house hack in Missouri or something, hit us up. We'd love to talk through it and help you get comfortable with it as well.
Awesome. I want to ask you your piece of advice for someone who wants to get started. You've probably been in this scenario before. You're an investor friendly agent. You're an investor yourself. I mean, someone comes to you and says, "Hey, they hear this podcast and they're like, I want a piece of what you're doing." How would you tell them to start? I mean, what would be the things you would share with them kind of as first steps?
Man, so first and foremost, just get started, right? I think Jason mentioned it earlier. The first house he bought, he's like, hey, I probably had no business buying that house, but it got him to where he is now. You learned a lot. The first one I bought, I definitely overpaid. I'm like, dang, when I look back, I'm like, I definitely overpaid. But fast forward a couple of years, you forget about all that and you've learned so many lessons and it got you to the next deal and the next one. And so, first and foremost, just get started. And then, second, be willing to be uncomfortable for a little bit. If you are able to say, hey, I'm going to go humble myself. And instead of being that new college grad, we'll call it, living in my own apartment and have my own car and things of that nature, I'm going to go live with roommates, right? I'm going to go buy and house hack and live a little bit uncomfortable in the early years. It'll pay off in the long run. And you can get to the point where now you're buying your dream house and you're able to schedule out the day that you want if you give a little bit of sacrifice in the beginning.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Just taking advantage of the early time in life. Like the farther you get along, by the time you have a family, a wife and kids, like you're going to be less interested in that discomfort. I think that it just gets harder to say, okay, I'm we're gonna have roommates. Oh, also we have this brand new baby. Like that's just logistically a lot more challenging. But I mean, it's like you come out of high school, college, whatever. Like you come out there, do everything you can to make more money, and also do everything you can to spend less money. You only have to do that for like 2 or 3 years. Like, which in the scheme of our lives is not a very long time. People feel like that's a long time, but like it's not that long, and you can make substantial headway doing that will set you up for much more comfortable living in the long run. And it's just man, when I talk to like young people, like college age people coming right out of school or something, like I'm like, just pretend you're still poor for like 3 years and you'll be good. Like just live that way for a little bit longer and you'll be good. And yeah, people don't always want to do it, but it is a very effective way to go, and achieve exactly what you've achieved for yourself. So Niyi, thank you for coming on the show. I've really enjoyed the conversation. I appreciate everything that you've shared. Definitely, we are going to have to connect when I'm in Atlanta next. But yeah, thank you for being here and sharing your story. I appreciate it.
Jason, it has been a pleasure. And on air, I'm going to hold you to that. We got to go to one of my brunch spots when you come out here and hang out.
100%. Oh, happy to. Folks listening, please make sure you connect with Niyi, and please like, rate, and review the show so we can continue to get more great guests. And as always, thank you for listening.
Hey there, I am Dr. Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast, where we explore the why behind success. Every week, I meet with real estate investors, veterinary entrepreneurs, mindset coaches, authors, and fitness professionals to uncover their why and how it drives them on the winding road to success. What is your why?